I felt in particular this year that it was a very, it's been for years, where a very political year, but in particular, we can't help, as I'm sure many of you high school students, we can't help watching the news and what's happening in the Ukraine. In fact, I spent the other night reading the New Yorker, which was photographs and articles about what's going on there, and I don't know what's more despairing, the photos, the television clips, or actually the written word. And I'll always come down to the written word has the most power to impact on all of us, because it really slices deeply into our guts. And as a result, I was at HWP and I contacted a publisher of one of my books and I said, can you recommend a poet from the Ukraine? And she recommended two poets to me, and I wrote to both of them, and Vasyl Makhno, whose bio we agreed to come to end the high school portion of the event. And in the back, we have extra copies of poetry books as well as a fundraiser for the Ukraine. If you want to give that to your families or anyone else you know, if teachers want to spread that in the school, please take it, please give. It's critical during these times to give in whatever way we can. So we're blessed to have Vasyl Makhno, whose book I actually read, Winter Letters and Other Poems, a wonderful book, a Ukrainian poet, essayist, and translator. He is the author of 9 collections of poetry, including Winter Letters and Other Poems, translated by Ares Puppy. And most recently, I Want to Be Jazz and Rock and Roll. He has also published 2 books of essays, the Gertrude Stein Memorial Cultural and Recreation Park and Horn of Plenty. Makhno has translated Dimitri Herbert's and Jenny Stuber's poetry from Polish into Ukrainian. In fact, I said I want to buy a few of his books, and he said, in which language? I have 13 books, more than 13, in fact. It was 25 different languages. I have extra books if you want that I could bring from Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Hebrew, French, and I said, it's okay, I'll just buy. I concluded with purchase 7 books which have been translated into English. His poems and essays have been translated into 25 languages, and he is the 2000 recipient of Serbia's Pavel Milorad Prize in Poetry. He currently resides in New York City. Welcome, Vasyl. We've been here, by the way, since before noon and heard all the young poets share their work.
Hi everybody. This will be reading with East European accent. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, students, thank you for inviting me for this event. First off, I would like to say a couple of words before I start reading my poems. I'm a Ukrainian writer, and most of you, I hope, are aware of the current situation happening in Ukraine. I almost never wrote a poem about war until 2014. It seems so natural to me to delve into the game with language only, to search for new metaphorical combination, to reflect on the big and small walls. Actually, war was far from me. As a child, I often listened to the stories of my grandfather, a veteran of World War II. My grandmother survived the German occupation, and her brother died near Warsaw in 1945. Therefore, the war is a heritage of every Ukrainian family, a memory that cannot be erased or lost. Enlarged my memory until February 24, as Putin troops launched full-scale war against us and the world community. In fact, on the first day of the war, I was so shocked by the news that I not only called to talk to my mother and friends in Ukraine to ask what was really going on, but I also wrote a poem named War. I will begin with the poem War. In that poem, there are two allusions to Pavlo Tychina, a major Ukrainian poet who in 1919 wrote a poem that spoke of torn apart Kyiv, and about Russian poets Andrei Bely, Alexander Blok, and Sergei Yesenin. In the other to the 12th century epic poem, The Tale of Igor Campaign, which is a common memory of Eastern Slavic literature. War. Lord, the way Tychina writes, and Bely, and Blok, and Yesenin, the way they surrounded us on all four sides. Give us strength and power, hastily packed suitcase and bread. Naturally, the sly foxes lie, that we have neither shields nor centuries. Igor leads us somewhere over the dawn with his regiments, today with the February snow, and tomorrow with a bloody shield. And their dark forces come from Tmutarakan and Mokshas and Chud, shot at our location, hit at the position we take. So what is there in that tale of Igor's campaign? And what is there in ancient sounds? You jumping barefoot as a wolf, spreading the spit of the devil, reached the rivers and borders, reached my clenched heart. You blackened icons can't even be cleansed with milk. Lord, the way Tychina writes about King, the Messiah, about the country, why didn't we learn this poem by heart? Bleed, my heart, bleed. Next poem title is My Father. You know, my father was the same age as John Lennon. When John was singing, it was better if we clamped on. And on weekends, he would also tie one on the as a car mechanic. Something would always break. Plugs flooded by gas would fail. Beetles would fly to India. Winters were passing by, and the flower children were breaking stalks and stanzas. You know, the little town, few cars, city hall, market square, cobblestones set over centuries like verse in rhyme. Window panes in buildings vibrated like violin decca. End of 50s, the children of war, a damaged generation, wearing a Cheviot coat in rubber boots knee-high, standing at the bus stop was my mother, student. You know, in music classes, accordion, guitar, or dombra, music demands a sacrifice school of orchestra in the former synagogue, now converted to the district club, is kept warm by kerosene stove in his brand new hazon, dragging repeatedly on his cigarette. My father is waiting for my mother on the corner. You know, after, no, not finished, it's a long point. You know, after a few years, they failed marriage fell apart. The music has suddenly changed. I grew and fattened up. John, who married Yoko, had it thrown of hippies, started singing about flowers, altered his wardrobe and style, grew a beard, mustache, like a prophet in the wilds, allured by freedom at the leftist. You know, the tight little town will also change as military units occupy the barracks, airmen and corpsmen, the spring and fall draftees as a cyclical as nature's season will sing John's song about yesterday and the day before, about unrequited love singly and in chorus, about all that passed by. You know, in the street corner where my father awaited my mother, the music has not changed. It sounds the same to me. And I hear that orchestra off tune and off beat, and John lying on the pavement, shop in New York, in her dark glasses, by now the aged Yoko, and the music like divorce, I simply don't get. You know, because my father was the same age as John Lennon. I see him as young man speeding in the cab of his hazon, while my mother stands in the corner, waiting, humming, let it be. She is girl, and he is hurrying, flying. They have but a brief moment left, indeed only an irony. But their music and the music of the Beatles will remain with me. Now a short poem is not very long. No. Glancing through my old notebook, I was astounded to find their casual acquaintances, people I had forgotten existed. Some of them I knew back in Ukraine, others I met later in New York, some in Europe, it doesn't matter. Running through the pages like a timid fox, I was thinking all the time that some of them I never managed to phone, probably found no time and desire. To others I never replied in writing, greetings I kept out mostly by email. Some of them I never ran into again, for according to theory of probability, it was one chance in the 1,000, or more, probably, and there was no need to. Running through it like a fox, I stumbled upon the rock of the few names, the others of which I shall never again see or encounter, and mechanically crossing them off the notebook, I asked myself, then why are you gasping so? Next poem is titled Yehuda Mihai. He was a great Israeli poet, in which I really enjoyed his poetry. When I arrived to New York, my first poetry event that I had attended was dedicated to Yehuda Mihai, and in my poem you will hear my describing the realistic story that happened to me. Yehuda Amichai, Herbert, brought to me Yehuda Amichai, whom I preserved as herbarium, and left under the name of Cactus Sabra, though Amichai was born in Germany, while Sabra is a Jew born in the Holy Land. The Amichai leaf lay for a long time in some German edition on surrealism, until finally I sensed from in the sweet scent of the stones of Jerusalem, and I placed those stones in my verses, like black markers on white linen, and they overgrew with green moss in the book of hills and hours. Sandu died, and Margaret Madadialu told me stories about Amichai when we rode with Sandu to the synagogue in Novi Sad, and with Margaret when in the restaurant at the casino hotel we drank white bread and honey, which ran down our arms all the way to our elbows. In New York, at the evening in his memory, when his verses were read, everyone received copies of those verses into languages, Hebrew and English, and the entire hall chanted the Hebrew sounds as if everyone had just stuffed his mouth full of olives in the buffet. That evening, there was a downpour of horrendous, and it was impossible to get a cab. Umbrellas were ripped out of the hands, and they flew together with their owners in the city of New York University. There was no one to ask direction what the street where the Jewish center is located. One poet, whom I happened to run into the empty street, pointed to the building around which I circled hopelessly for a half hour. And while we were talking, her umbrella was torn out of her hands, and I chased after that umbrella because I felt guilty about it. And she just stood there in the rain and smiled. And last one for this reading, you have it all. You have bread for sustenance, and the rivers caught on your arm. In the wheat field, rye. In the rye field, wheat. You have something to go with the bread, the road, the river, the hill, the slope, light for your footsteps, wind for your wings. And what more do you need? What? Why? Everything else will find you. Your coat will slip from your arms, and the river will cross over you. And the stone will be your pillow, and the river shore your bed. Meteor streaks will be etched upon your brow. And so you have wheat with rye, and you have cabbage and peas, no worries and no sorrow, key, door, lock. So, who cared so much about you, and was so generous to you, that pierced the river with sky,